Sound rolling.
Camera 1.
Rolling.
Camera 2. Rolling.
My name is Carolina Caballero, and my current position is I'm a Zemurray-Stone Senior Professor of the Practice. I have a joint appointment between Latin American Studies and Spanish and Portuguese. Because of that, I get to teach courses in the Department of Spanish and Portuguese. I teach Spanish language, composition, culture courses, literature courses, and in Latin American Studies, I've taught cultural studies courses and courses on Latinx. I do most of my work and most of my research in theater, Caribbean theater, and Latinx theater, particularly focusing on Cuban and Cuban American theater and culture. I arrived in Tulane, started here in the fall of 2008, so almost 15 years ago. This fall will make 15 years. And I came following the partner I had at the time. Because of the Stone Center, I am basically who I am today. Through the Stone Center, through Cuban and Caribbean Studies Institute, and through my mentorship with Ana López, I started going to Cuba, and that basically changed my life in terms of professionally, actually being in Cuba, seeing theater, getting to know theater practitioners, directors, and also personally being able to get to know family, and that is still there on the island. One of the wonderful things about that Latin American Studies, the Center for Latin American Studies and Cuban Caribbean Studies has offered me is the opportunity to take students abroad and spend a month. And normally if we're in Cuba, it's a very intense and intimate month together on the island. And I think I am luckier than most because I get to take anywhere between 15 and 25 students to the island and talk about what I know, talk about what I love, right? I get to talk about Cuba, Cuban theater, literature, culture, talk about who I am. I get to talk about the Cuban Revolution. I get to talk about what Cuba is today. I get to talk about Cuban immigration, and in some ways what I want to be. So a standout thing for me is every year when we take our trip into Matanzas, and then we give the students a little break and head to Varadero. So my parents left Cuba out of Camarioca, which was a boat lift. Only about 3,500 people left out of there before they changed it to the Freedom Flights, and this was in 1965. And being able to pass by that area, which is actually just this kind of crummy little bridge, and next to the bridge is this broken down dock, and that's where they left from, and be able to point to my students that this is my origin story. That's pretty amazing. When I think about Latin American Studies at Tulane, the first person I think of and I consider is Professor Ana López, who has been my mentor. We first met in 2007 when my partner at the time was interviewing for a job here at Tulane, and we clicked automatically, and from then on she has been a mentor, a friend, and giving me a plethora of opportunities. And between her, Val McGinley, they've allowed me to grow and basically do whatever I want. And then with the newest edition of Hannah Palmer over the past couple of years, this has really been kind of my partners in crime in the best positive way to do, I think, some really interesting things in the center, bring in new voices and bring in new perspectives and kind of shake up a little bit what this center has traditionally done, just as serious, just as important, but maybe extend the definitions of what is academic programming. I think the Stone Center for me has been, in many ways, recognizing that my skills and what I can do. I've been able to develop skills here and have been recognized for skills here that in any other traditional academic department would not have necessarily been recognized or developed or supported. And I feel like the Stone Center is this space that sees potential, can kind of look outside the box and see growth and see different ways of moving that for not just me, but for others, but in my personal case, they've allowed me to be so much more than I would have been in any other place here on campus.